Thank you for watching News Echoes. My name is Shegun Johnson, and I'm glad you are watching. Today, we want to discuss Nigeria at 62. Finally, Nigeria is 62, and we want to know your own impression. We want to make it as interactive as possible. Please do write in your impression of Nigeria at 62. Do you think we have developed according to the pace we ought to have developed? That is, you like to compare us with like India, Indonesia, Thailand, Malaysia. Have we all developed at the same pace? Because we got our independence not too far from one another. India in 1947, Indonesia, Thailand at about 1960. So we want to see how far we've gone. And probably you could see compare us with Ghana, or contrast as you may like. And you may also compare and contrast with the Francophone countries in Africa. See whether we have done very well. Buhari believed that he has done very well in the last 7 years, and we shall be looking at his speech, uh, the independence speech, so that we'll try as much as possible to pick it one after the other, his points. Also, we'll be looking at the outcome of the ASU strike. Have they beaten more than they can chew? As there is now another union of academic lecturers in Nigeria aside ASU who have been ordered to go back and start working. We'll be bringing you the latest. We have in the studio with me our own man in Milan, Mark Godwin in Milan. How are you doing, sir?
Good morning, Dr. Shagun.
Mm.
Beautiful. It's good to see you. Uh, Good to see be with the viewers again all over the world. Welcome to News Echoes. This beautiful 5th of October, 5 days after Nigerian independence, and yes, we're happy. At least we're getting older, Dr. Shagun. Nigeria is getting older.
Well, is it older we should be discussing or developing? Yes,
Yes.
definitely. Whether we like it or not, we'll get older. But how beautiful are we getting older? Let me start with you
Yes, sir.
before our colleagues. Uh, Mark,
Yes, sir.
between 1960 and now, have we done very well? In your own opinion, I just want to hear your own opinion first.
Dr. Shagun, sadly, let's put it point blank. We've not
Mm,
done so well. It's a public knowledge that since October 1st, 1960, when Nigeria was able to secure its independence from Great Britain, um, little of economic progress has been done. Very little. Even though
mm.
that day is a very big celebration for most Nigerians, we just celebrate regardless of the development we've made. And this year it was like so, but we've not done well, Dr. Shagun. My own opinion, we've not
Yeah,
done well.
we have spent trillions of naira, and here we are, still struggling as a nation and with development, both political and economic. So, will you say that will you want to later start breaking it down? How far we've gone in politics, how far we've gone in economics? While you are pondering over that, let me welcome our diva Obux Hebrew. I'm sure your husband is going to kill me, but it's okay. Yeah, well, I just want you to spread. I want you to spread the wealth to me, to Johnson's. You know what I mean? So that when I come to Lagos, I can use Sheraton for free. You know what I mean? Eh, yeah,
I'm,
you're
I'm
welcome.
sure I'm sure Sharasi will welcome you for free, Dr.
Yeah.
Shegu.
See, Mark, I'm on my way. You're welcome to the
good mo-
program.
good
Mm,
morning, good morning.
yeah,
Legend Mark,
Good morning.
Legend Shegu, how are you? I hope
Yes.
you
yeah,
had
we're doing well.
a
We're
good
doing well.
weekend and a good
Yeah,
week already.
We know
yes.
you. you guys have had all the fun. Up to yesterday, they were still on holidays. Is that correct? Nigeria was still celebrating.
No, not up to yesterday. Yesterday we went to work.
Oh, okay.
We had holiday
Okay,
we had holiday on Monday.
Okay.
okay.
Mm.
We were just talking about Nigeria at 62, and we felt that, or rather, I felt that I should first of all give you guys free hand. Let me hear you 2 to 3 minutes on your impression about Nigeria at 62, the development. Have we done very far in 62 years? And how far have we come? Before we break it down, especially we're coming to look at the speech of Mr. President. At his last independence speech, he called it, which is true. And we want to look at it and see to what extent he has been able to speak the truth to our nation. But what are your general impressions about Nigeria 62?
Well, in my personal opinion, I think we've regressed. The Nigeria that I was born into is certainly not the Nigeria we have today, or I find myself today. When I was a child, born in Apapa, the GRA, my nannies at that time used to push me in what we call a perambulator. And when I say that to my friends say, "What is a perambulator?" I say, nowadays it's called a stroller.
Oh, okay.
It's called a stroller these days. And I used to be pushed in a perambulator from my house in the evenings to what was called Marine Beach, where we had a lot of white sand, that place is called Waterside now. And
now, can you do the same thing now for your grandchildren?
You can't even go there safe. It's called Waterside now, and it's the crossing to Ajagule from Apapa. And I promise you that if you go there, it will be like you're in another world outside of the GRA of Apapa. It's quite a shame.
No,
we didn't have.
There used to be trailers on the road. I went there 5 years ago. Trailers on the overhead bridge and every. Are those trailers still there?
Well, they're still there, but at least they're under control now. So, so you can come to Apapa now because there's a fantastic human being called Shalagiwa who has managed to put that traffic under control for us. Thanks to the task force of Lagos State and the Vice President's office. So we're under control to a certain extent. So we can come and go into Apapa, but now we have roadworks on the bridge. So it tends to be a little bit difficult to go out at certain times. But it's much better now. It's much better under control.
One other question, because I'm interested in this Apapa area. Can we drive from Apapa to Mile 2 now on the way to Festa?
Well,
because it was blocked at a point.
You can go through Orile. If you're coming from Apapa, you can go through Sulere, well, via the bridge, Costain Bridge.
I don't want to go through Orile. I want to go through Apapa, then go by.
No, you cannot go through the No. Don't even try it. Don't even try. Don't even go there. Don't even go there. It used to take us 15 minutes to get to the airport. Apapa is literally 15 minutes from the GRA to Apapa to the airport. It's literally 15 minutes if you go via the Apapa Oshodi Expressway.
Yes.
But we can't even go. We can't even go that way. So now we have to go through Western Avenue to Ikeja, either now link Oshodi Bridge or go to Mobolaja Bank Anthony in Ikeja and then go through the local airport through the toll gate.
That is due to poor leadership, poor management.
Totally, nothing else.
Or town planning.
Because the road is absolutely not accessible. Not accessible. Now we have a tank farm at Ibafo, the Ibru Jetty, and before it would take me 5-7 minutes to get to the warehouse, and now I can't even go by road anymore. I have to take the boat. If I want to go to the warehouse, I have to take the boat because
Wow.
there's absolutely no passage, and unless I want to be stuck there for 4 hours or 5 hours, then
But,
I
but
can't even make that attempt.
how did we get there? How did we get? Let me tell you the reason. And I mean, those who are not Nigerians, they're listening, and those who are Nigerians are listening. When I was a teenager and an undergraduate at the University of Lagos, I would go home, collect my parents' car, and go and take a girlfriend to go and see the beauty of Apapa at night in the evening. We'll go at the cool of evening, drive through Tinkan Island, showing off to the lady, and we'll be driving and it's like it's a good thing. Then finally you park at the wharf and you behave as if your father is the owner of the place. And it was a place for lovers to visit in the cool of evening. And that is why it's so
Mm.
painful to me now that what we enjoy those days, the younger ones of these days will never enjoy it.
Yes,
No,
but
they can't.
there was a special place called the amusement park in
Yeah.
those days in Apapa, and it was our regular place of relaxation and fun as
Yeah.
young kids growing up, and it
Mm-hmm.
was beautiful. Also, you mix up with different people. Nobody was thinking of anything evil, no child kidnapping or anything. We'll come there, have our fun, go back home. Next Sunday, next weekend again, come there, and all of a sudden, those beautiful memories left. Everything just turned upside down.
Okay.
Well,
Those trucks.
Apapa Amusement Park is still there, but it's certainly not the same. It's
It's
certainly not the same.
okay.
Yeah, it's there. There are a few rides that still exist, and I mean, you can still take kids there for a little bit of fun when there's nothing to do, but it's definitely not the same as it was when we were growing up.
Yes.
Okay, those trucks that block the road. Let's talk economics now. Those trucks that block the road, they are queuing for to receive goods from the key
From the
port,
port,
isn't it?
yes.
Yes. And no, nothing has been done in years to seek alternative means, but to block the overhead bridge.
Well, things have been done, but how effective those things have been is the question. We have the ATO call-up system now, where the trucks are supposed to be called in by signals, and they're not supposed to be on the bridge. But we have a situation where the underground trailer parks that were there before were concessioned out to some private individuals. I plead the Fifth Amendment not to call any names. But
Fair enough.
but,
Fair enough.
but there was some private organizations have taken over the existing parks where the trucks used
Mm.
to have to park and then wait for their signals to go into the port. But those parks have been overtaken by some individuals and they don't exist anymore except to those individuals. So all the trucks that are waiting to go into the port have to wait somewhere. So they call them up and then they line up on the bridge. Like I said, the task force led by Shola Giwa has been able to, and I keep mentioning his name because he's done a very great job for us in the last year and a bit. Otherwise, I wouldn't even be calling his name. But he's been really, really um, great doing, what he
What
has done for us. Because at a point, we couldn't even go in or out of Apapa at a point until he came along,
Okay.
and he was
Yeah.
managed to able to give us. Yes, he's been able to give us access now. So
very
at certain points in time, you can easily go in and out of Apapa now. But now, because we have roadworks on the bridge, it's difficult to get out. It's relatively easy to come in, but to get out when it's rush hour is almost impossible. Well,
You know,
it's tough. It's tough.
when we listen to this kind of thing, it's painful because the government is supposed to govern. Is supposed to govern the land. That's why they're called
Mm,
government. when you govern the land, you govern every inch of the land, from security to communication to transportation. You govern. And one of the ways to govern is presenting policies, implementing policies, enforcing policies. That is what governance is all about.
But
That is what I'm
I
saying.
I don't I don't
I
know
want
where
to say,
I don't know where
I
else in the
want to
world
say,
trucks park on the bridges.
yes,
I've
but
I've
never
never
seen it.
seen it.
I've never seen it. But
I
on a
also,
Papa Bridge, the
I
bridge
also
is the truck park.
I also like to add that one other thing also is the federal government of Nigeria has carried so much burden on itself. Sometimes some of these of small activities could be given out to private individuals, private companies, and that would have eased some of this jam lock we see. Federal government wants to carry everything in Nigeria because they want to make all the money from every angle. So, and there is poor leadership when it comes to that. They are very poor leadership management. So, I think it's high time some parastatals and some uh, um, um, divisions of the state be shared out to various private individuals, various. I mean, that port, for example.
I beg to differ,
Mhm.
legend. I beg to differ.
Okay.
Um, I don't think the federal government carries all the responsibility because, you know, they want to make all the money, or they want to make they want to make all the money, but not for
Um,
the state or not for the country. They
mhm.
want to make all the money for themselves because there's
Ah,
always personal interests in
okay.
these matters. Like I said, the trailer parks that were are working perfectly well before, that were under the bridges in um Ijora, Ijora Badia, the
You're
Ijora
right.
axis anyway, yes,
Yeah.
were concessioned out to some private individuals.
Okay.
And it's because of those concessions that we have this gridlock that we're talking about.
Ah.
So
Okay.
it's not because they're trying to make money for Nigeria. Those
Mm.
individuals
Besides,
have
besides, we
direct or
have a
indirect,
constitution.
yes,
Mm.
they have a direct or
We have
indirect affiliation with certain persons. Again, I
Mhm.
plead the Fifth Amendment.
you are not mentioning names.
I'm not mentioning it.
Okay, fair enough. Mm.
And some people are making a lot of money.
From
Some security agencies, or some people in some security agencies, are making a lot of money from this problem, and they're not taking into consideration the general populace, or the residents, and business people that live in and around Apapa area.
but
So
I
but
think
Diva, I
without
also
yes, ma.
yes, I want to say that objection to your Fifth Amendment. Soon we'll begin to call out names and probably yeah, yes, because
She lives in Nigeria, please. She lives in
that's
Nigeria.
no, but we are all Nigerians, and that's our
Mm,
country, and what happens affects us too, even those that are
yes.
outside. In fact, it affects those outside more than in Nigerians, the Nigerians inside, because
Okay,
we we
okay,
we
ma.
go ahead, sir.
We just leave it at that. Let's look at other countries when it comes to governance, and it's not a case of whether they are developed countries or not. It's a case of having understanding of what governance is. When a group of people or even one person decides to constitute a nuisance and go against the law, the government will ensure that such a person is brought to book. And I remember the Waco Jacko many years ago in America. They considered themselves into trouble. And the government just, they bombed the whole place to say, you don't do that. I recall the place, I'm not sure whether it's Texas, no, one of these smaller states in the United States. These two men went to disrupt the area and shot a few people. They locked the state until they were fished out. Same thing in France. Some people, some Islamic terrorists decided to shoot and kill. They locked the area down until they were fished out. That is what governance is all about. The government is no longer a government. If some people constituted themselves into Boko Haram and they're still staying there after 10 years, some people constituted themselves into bandits and they're still staying there after some years. That is no governance. Nobody knows the map of Nigeria as we speak. In 1960, when Nigeria was created, we know the map of Nigeria. In the primary schools, we all drew the map of Nigeria. How many of us know the map of the geographical Nigeria as we speak? And these are the things that have happened in 62 years. And more so recently, in the last 7 years, Buhari has redrawn the map of Nigeria. Katsina is a no-go area, even to the governor, who is now arming the individuals with AK-47. And this is what we have seen in 62 years. The federal government doesn't rule and reign in the southeast, because when IPOP says don't go to market on a Monday, nobody dared. And so what kind of Nigeria do we have today? Whoever comes in 2023 does not even know what is governing. He only has the power over the military and the money Nigeria makes. He doesn't have the power over every inch of Nigeria. And so maybe we should just move on to the budget proposal that the Buhari administration presented to the National Assembly. 20 trillion naira budget, 12 of them to service debts, the remaining to pay salaries and overhead. No money for capital. Where do we start? Mark, what's your position?
Doug, you said it all. No money for capital. Everything is to service debt. I mean, and we're still incurring more debt. So it will come to a deadlock, and the masses suffer. Businesses suffer. Small businesses, big business, everybody suffers when there is this kind of clueless economic management. It's a pity.
Exactly. Clueless is the word.
Yes, sir. Clueless.
Why have the leaders pauperized the people? We know that we have some money. NNPC is not making money, and it's a systematic impoverishing of the people. What happened? Why will Nigerians be talking about elections when we should be talking about how far we have been managed? I mean, as a student of political science, I know that many West African, especially Francophone countries, never got a penny for capital projects. In fact, they find it difficult to pay their salaries. So they look up to France and Nigeria to help them pay the salaries of the civil servants. Now, Nigeria has just found itself there where we cannot pay for capital projects. Please, Diva, how do you copy from Nigeria?
I really don't know. I really don't know what the solution is, but no capital, no budget for capital development. I don't know in which country, the masses are supposed to survive with that. And even the debt servicing we're talking about, I mean, is it really going to happen? I mean, do we really pay our debts? There's so many questions. Debt management. Who oversees that? What are we talking about? What's the situation in the country with capital development? I will tell you that I sit on the board of Nigerian Railway Corporation, and we have submitted budgets for capital development and all the rest of them, and we're told no capital development, just manage the resources you have to run operations and do what you have to do, pay staff salaries, and no new capital development. So how do we build new railroads? We can't build new rail tracks. We can only manage what we have. And the system is shut down because of insecurity on the rail tracks from Abuja to Kaduna. We haven't had any services running for upwards of 6 months now. because we haven't been given the clearance from the security agencies to start operations since the blast on the rail tracks. I mean, so where do we go? Dr. Shago, I'll throw the question back. I will throw the question back at you.
Yeah, but
I'll throw the question back at you because I don't know. We put in a budget. We've asked for new staff, employment of new staff. We asked for 8,800 plus, staff. We were given approval for under 900. Management, the board decided that we're going to send it back to the Civil Service Commission, because even the category of staff that we asked for are not the category of staff that were approved. We sent the approval back and said, unless you give us what we want, we don't want this. It doesn't make sense for us to employ staff that we don't need. So we want you to approve the category of the staff, the professional staff over level 8 that we want. That's what we need. We don't need under level 8. The more staff we need are level 8 and above, who are graduates or at least OND level and up. And so for 3 years, we have not employed any staff at the railway, and we have 2 new passenger lines that are operational now. Yes, the new standard gauge lines that we have, which is Lagos Ibadan and Warri Takpe. So, I mean, what are we saying here? And when the Civil Service Commission comes back to us, they say, the Ministry of Budget has not approved that kind of financing. They don't have the money to pay that kind of staff, staff strength. What do we do? We're looking at them.
I have worked in the budget before, at the federal budget before coming over to England, and I know when there's shortage of funds for a ministry, you look for the offices you want to cancel, and for every level 10, 12 you want to maintain, you must cancel some messengers, some clerical officers, that's how it's done. And it's so easy to take away 2 level 14 and get 20 clerks and messengers, because that's the salary. It's about money. But then the amount of training that the government has given level 14 before he gets to level 14, we will be missing it at the federal level. The man will carry his training and go to a company where he will be valued. Now they don't want you to employ. Yeah, I've worked there, so I know how these things operate. So they don't want you to take those who are qualified and they are in the market. They are in competition with you. Are in competition with the companies now, and at the end of the day, we put our cronies at the clerical level, at the substandard level, which are not useful to this running of the railway system. And that's the story of Nigeria at 62. The budget says it's going to borrow 11 trillion naira upon all the money we have borrowed. I mean, this is unbelievable. But for us to be very systematic in our approach to this, I would like us to look at a few points of Buhari at independence. Today, we're just looking at Nigeria 62. When we come back from a short break, we look at what Buhari's speech means to move Nigeria forward. And from there, we'll be able to look at Nigeria even suing. Nigeria has decided to sue Meta, the proprietor of Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp. And I wonder what will come out of it. Don't go away. We'll be right back. When we come, we'll be discussing details.
Gen Gang Story magazine is an African international bi-monthly magazine based in Milan, Italy, and founded in 2016. The publication focuses on personalities, fashion, style, entrepreneurship, and culture for Africans. Though articles on food, movies, Fitness, music, travel, sports, technology, and books are also featured. Our lives full of best stories. A lot can happen in a month. Expand your mind, change your world. Get Schengen Story magazine's full editions. Celebrating Africans make an impact. Read better. The Inside Story. Your fashion magazine for a better lifestyle. Inspiring stories for you. Your monthly dose of entertainment. A better mind keeping you updated.
When I wrote the book, The Final Solution, the Lord gave me some things in the spirit realm to see going to happen here. And that is why you need to get a copy of this book, not because of the purchase, but because of the contents. We've not spent 2 weeks. Now we have seen the problem in Ukraine, Russia, and Belarus, Donetsk, Luhansk, and all the other surrounding nations, talk less of the Western countries and the Eastern countries. We want to pray that this stops where it is. Some people are even imagining a third world war. I pray that there'll be no third world war, but we need to know the solution to all of these problems, and they are well packaged in that book, The Final Solution. The amount of money is next to nothing. Go to Amazon and buy this book. Go to the Kindle, go to KDP and buy this book. It's very important. So it is in Amazon and Kindle. And of course you can purchase the paperback, but it's not about the money. It's about the contents to have solution to Ukraine, to Russia, to the West, to the East, and indeed all parts of the world. Do get a copy and let's start operating the solution of God to our time.
Hi there, I'm Mary Keurig, and I am a businesswoman in the United States, but I'm also the Global Content Vice President for the Sub-Saharan Open University in Nigeria. I could not be prouder to work with Dr. Osita Anamika and his team on helping to create not just entrepreneurs and skill-based talent that will get out into the workforce and make a living for themselves, but also young leaders. And to that end, with this integrity-rich university environment that's accredited now, and it's just an amazing opportunity for anyone there of any age to jump on board and learn, we want to let you know about a new offering that we have. We have a global governance and diplomacy course now provided by a whole team of people that crosses several countries to put together these resources and lots of great information for those of you who might be on the path toward public service and diplomatic service, NGO leadership, that sort of thing. We hope that you will walk through this open door and enjoy.
Thanks for staying with us at News Echoes. I did promise that we look at the different parts of President Buhari's last independence speech to the nation, and we'll just go straight to that. In the paragraph 3 of his speech, I want to read it out so that nobody says I'm misquoting Mr. President. This speech was directed straight to Tinubu, who said, I put Buhari there. But this speech has corrected that. It is now left for the viewers and the citizens to make their mind up. This is what is contained in paragraph 3. I am honored to say that my story in the annals of Nigeria history is no household secret. My various attempts, failures, and eventual success in being elected as a democratic president in 2015 was made possible by the majority of Nigerians. He did not say that anybody helped him. because Tinubu had gone to say that he failed the first time, the second time, the third time, and I decided to help him. But he has managed to correct it here to say my presidency in 2015 was made possible. Now you have to be reading between the lines. He has come to correct it. Uh, Godwin, Dr. Godwin, I welcome you. Um, we'll come to you in a minute. Um,
Thank you for having
I
me.
know, yeah. Diva Books, how do you see that one? My presidency was made possible by the majority of Nigeria. Was
That's
he
true.
responding to was he responding to Tinubu, or he was just saying it casually?
I think it's a political statement.
Yeah.
When you're the president of a country, you can't admit that it was a singular human or a singular person that made it possible for you to become president of a country, especially when you're talking about a democratic government. Democracy
Yeah.
is supposed to be for the people. I mean, there's a voting system. It's not even a parliamentary system that we have in Nigeria. We have a full democratic, government. So you can't very well say, oh, it's Mr. A or Mr. B that made me or made it
That
possible for me
made
to be
me
president. Yeah,
I,
it's
I,
got to be the people's vote that put you there.
I believe that we should not just overlook what he said. Mark in Milan, he said it was made possible. It was
Yeah, by the
made
people.
possible by the majority of Nigerians. Mark, did you
Yeah.
read anything into it?
Yes, Dr. Shago. A long speech on
Mm.
October the 1st. Our President Muhammad Buhari gave a lot. One thing I noticed with the speech was he gave himself a lot of accolades, a lot of encouragement. I mean, he said so many things. He said, to the glory of God and His grace, that his government has improved economically. He said they've been able to tackle a lot of economical interventions, strategic interventions on both federal and national level. So I think that the president is not too in tune with the reality. Saying some of these things means he's cut off with what is really happening on ground. Economically, we're not
Certainly, somebody wrote this for him,
okay.
and the person was just trying to bring up his image. But I just want us to take the specifics. Dr. Godwin Ibe, I know you are in Moscow, Russia, and you have to leave so many things to be with us, which we appreciate. Uh, the paragraph 5 of the presidential speech of Buhari says this democracy was to be anchored on a clear understanding, application, and the principles of separation of powers supported by reform public service that is more effective. He said separation of powers. In his first term, 2015 to 2019, we saw that Saraki's administration at the National Assembly challenged his position. And because of that, he made sure that election was not favorable to the opposition, and brought in Lawan as the Senate president, and by automatic situation made him the chairman of National Assembly. And the Senate president said whatever Buhari will bring, we will pass it, and that has been done this second part of his term. So for Buhari now to be telling us separation of powers, it's a bit funny, isn't it?
Yes, of course. Thank you once again for having me, and thanks to the viewers for watching. Now when we say democracy, democracy is a range. It's a space. It's not a point.
Mm.
It's relative across the world. There's no place where it's perfect, and will be on the bottom of the ladder when it comes to that. In terms of people being able to vote out, especially I said vote out and vote
Mm.
in who they want. And this is the main thing that gives the definition of democracy: power, yeah, to the people, by the people, for the people, but by the people.
Mm.
So where they have it so difficult to vote out an underperforming leader, then it goes to say that we are far at the bottom of democracy as it should be. Now, concerning the separation of powers, well, it's clear practically that it's only on paper. In reality, you need the president is the president, and he calls the shots in Nigeria and in many things, and has a very great influence, maybe undue influence on the other arms of the government. And of course,
Dr.
when he
Eze,
has to appoint the minister and other
yeah,
things,
yes, of course, he has that power. But the Saraki-led National Assembly rejected the Waterways Bill, which will have given all the waterways in Nigeria to the federal government. And and when it was thrown out, he has come to represent it. When they refused to give Magu the EFCC clearance, he put him there until he felt he will remove him. I mean, these are the kind of things that separation of power never worked within his regime. And it's coming to tell us so that posterity will read it that he was in favor of separation of powers.
these things are like like Diva book said, there's a difference in political statement. So for example, you can reject something in September and accept it in October. No, it's just between September and October, a lot of things will go on and you just accept. But you've made a political statement. You've come out in September and say, "Oh, I rejected it," but was it ever accepted? Maybe in October it was accepted. Maybe some things happened before that time. We have to understand. We've had this kind of talks on different. Not only in Nigeria, we see it both in East and West, and when leaders of countries have to make political statements. But the reality on the ground is that the president holds undue influence, maybe more than what the constitution should grant, maybe in terms of the
Yeah.
reality on the other arms of the government, and that this is a
Let,
fact which I think most Nigerians believe.
let me quickly address paragraph 6 to Diva Books. And I mean, we got to look at these things because Nigerians are not made up of 200 million fools. And when the president writes, we must scrutinize it so that we can just make it very, very plain to the rest of the community, the Nigerian community, that some people are taking this nation seriously. Paragraph 6. This is Buhari. I then pledge to improve the economy, tackle corruption, and fight insecurity. And this was further strengthened by my commitment to lift 100 million Nigerians out of poverty in 10 years as the central plank of my second term in 2019. Will you say that 100 million Nigerians have been lifted up of poverty?
She didn't even
Well, I mean,
allow you,
I would just
she didn't even allow you to finish the question.
Diva, the way you are shaking your head is like, did he make 10% of that, 10 million of that? And
Legend, you always say to me that I have to be careful, or I always come with my opinion because I'm an APC member, which is the
yeah.
ruling party, and that's the party that my president belongs to. But the truth of it is this: yes, I'm a politician. Um, yes, I look at things critically, and to some extent, I have to come correct as a member of APC. However, there are some things that are glaring, and there are some things that, as a Christian, and just forget about even the Christianity, as a good person, as a person that is realistic, you have to just look at those things and just say, no, 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 this is not right. And
The writer crafted it 100 million. He crafted it
yeah,
in a way that we will
yeah,
remember 100 million Nigerians out of
yeah.
poverty. But if you
On,
read it again, it's a different thing.
unfortunately, in in a situation like this, I have to come very, very clear and very, very straight. As somebody who is a philanthropist, or like to think of myself as one, I know the level of poverty. I know the level of hardship that I have seen in doing my work in Nigeria. I know the number of graduates that I've come across in the last 2 years, even. Let me just, take it back just 2 years, that are actually impoverished. They don't have jobs. And all they are looking for is a way out of Nigeria because they don't have any hope. And all I preach to them is, you have to hold on. You have to just keep trying, and you have to just keep looking and hoping that something will come up. But let me tell you something. There are over 100 million Nigerians that are living below the poverty line. When people, I see some posts of some Obi-dients abroad. There was one that came particularly from the last rally they held in London. And some guy was saying, oh, blah, 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 the Obi-dients, blah, blah, blah. We know they give shishi, blah, 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 blah. And my comment was, come to Nigeria and come and have to observe 7 days of compulsory fasting.
Wow.
And what I mean by compulsory fasting is you don't have a choice because you're not eating, not because
not because of religious reasons.
Not for religious reasons, but because it's compulsory. You don't have food to eat. You don't have food to eat for 7 days. Come and see if somebody will give you 2,000 naira and you will not take it and jump at it. Don't be in London and be making noise. Blah, blah, blah. We know they give shishi. We know they give shishi. Come to Nigeria and come and see what people are suffering here. There are people that don't eat for 3 days. It's not because they are fasting. It's not prayer and fasting. It's because they don't have food to eat. So if they see 1,000 naira to eat after 3 days, trust me, they're going to jump at it. They're going to take it and they're going to go eat. And that person that gives them that 1,000 naira is the Messiah. So you can take it or you can leave it. Trust me. If I begin to post videos and pictures of children that are hungry in Nigeria, children that don't have schools to go to. I went to Makoko. Makoko is just in Yaba here. It's not as if it's in one remote somewhere. That's in Lagos. Yeah, that's in the heart of Lagos. Kids they don't go to school. They don't have a school. The classroom, the classroom they have is in the Ballet's Palace. I go there all the time. I go and give them stuff. They have to have their lessons on the canoe, on the water. They sit in the canoe on the water, and that's where they have their lessons. And I went to Makoko, and there were 7 children in a shack that were just born that day. And I went back 2 weeks later, and 4 out of those 7 children were dead. Jeez. It's not funny. It's not funny.
Okay, it's not funny at all. It's not funny. And this is just one part of Nigeria, not to talk about other parts. Let me quickly give Mark his own paragraph. Paragraph 10 of presidential speech says, we strengthen the institutions for tackling corruption and also cultivated international support, which aided the repatriation of huge sums of money illegally kept outside the country. Mark, in Milan, will you, by the conscience of your heart, say the Buhari administration tackle corruption?
No, sir. They didn't. In fact, corruption grew more in the last 5, 6, 7, 10 years. Yes, we had those repatriation of funds, stolen funds, but there wasn't any accountability to how it was spent. So what's the essence of bringing a stolen money from an offshore account and still come into the country and it's stolen again because there is no account for it? So it's more like dog eat dog situation.
The EFCC itself was corrupt and was corruptly led by Magu, and they had to remove him, probe him, but the report of the report has not been made public.
That's true. We have more than Magu. more personnel in the corruption fighting agency that are even corrupt. You know,
it was within the agencies they were corrupt. It was
yeah,
within his period that termites were eating vouchers and the billions of naira. It was
yeah,
the accountant general of the federation that was allegedly stolen 200 billion naira. Nothing has happened to him.
yes,
That's
sir.
so there are so many things. And here he's saying that he has strengthened the institutions for tackling corruption. The
Yeah.
institutions themselves are corrupt.
Remember the KRA, the police officer that was also a major agent
Absolutely,
in Super Cop, that was super copying in
that was super stealing the money. Now let me give Dr. Ebe his own paragraph. Paragraph 12 talks about insecurity. In order to address, this is the president speaking, in order to address insecurity, we worked methodically in reducing insurgency in the Northeast, militancy in the Niger Delta, ethnic and religious tensions in some sections of Nigeria, along with other problems threatening our country. Banditry was not mentioned in Zamfara, in Katsina, where they are now, and other places where they are now being armed with AK-47. But Dr. Ebe, what do you see in the 7-year term of Buhari? What did he do to the security of Nigeria?
Don't believe me. Believe El Rufai, who says that in Kaduna there's a parallel government.
You see?
Believe the governor who says there's a parallel government. Don't believe me. So if we are here speaking, it's like, oh, we are from the outside speaking, and we need to come on the inside and see things for ourselves. But there's a governor telling you that, look, he doesn't have control over his state. It's being run by terrorists. That's terrorists. Terrorists are governor. The official governor, the parallel governor, is a terrorist. So I don't. He didn't say there are some bandits operating in a local government area, or he didn't say there was a crime scene. No, he said the whole state is run by terrorists. There's a parallel government. What
Yes,
more
but
can you?
he mentioned Niger
What more do you
Delta.
want?
I mean, it's not
He
fair.
has to. He always has to. He always has to bring in this tribal and regional politics into it,
He
and then make
mentioned
the
Niger Delta, Northeast. Why not mention North Central, or Northwest, where Zamfara and these people have been fighting up to the point that they have now armed individuals to handle their own AK-47. I mean, if he's the president of all, he has to be president of all. But I'm looking at the time, and I want to give Diva Books one more before we go. And this is because this is specifically for Diva Books. It's on oil and gas sector. According to the president, let me read his speech. Fellow Nigerians, this administration removed several decades of uncertainty for potential investors in the oil and gas sector with the passage of the Petroleum Industry Act 2021. This landmark legislation created opportunities for foreign investments in addition to improving transparency in the management of the sector. Diva Books, I know you are from that area. You contested election from that area. We're not going to talk about the results right now. But now he said he's on top of it. Today we have reports that Abuja is full of queues again to get fuel. Today we are told that NNPC is recording minors. Today we're all looking up to Dangote. And next year, we're going to spend over 2 trillion naira to subsidize fuel. How has Buhari administration helped in the oil and gas sector?
Question I ask is, what is our production capacity? What are we producing? It's a very simple question.
With all the oil we have.
With all the oil we have, what are we producing? We're producing less than 1 million barrels a day. According to my last check, we were producing about maybe 850 or thereabouts. Let me not start quoting numbers that I can't back up. But what I do know is that based on the last reports, we're producing less than half
The quota we have been given.
The quota we have been given, which is about 1.8 million barrels a day.
Wow.
We're producing less than a million, that's for sure. What I mean, why? Is it that we don't have
And the
the
prices
facilities?
of barrel have gone up.
Yes, yes, and Russia and Ukraine are at war, which we're supposed to capitalize on, and even say, you know what, we can produce 2.5 million rather than 1.8, so that we can earn more revenue. So, what are we bragging about, really? I mean, what is the state of our refineries? How have they been improved to ensure that we meet up to our production capacity? Rather, we are giving individuals a license to build refineries, and those licenses, those people are the same people that were giving concessions to build or to revive our refineries. And instead of the refineries being revived, they are dying more and more. And NNPC is spending X billion to pay staff for NNPC. We don't even know, because I mean, whatever they tell us, we just swallow it up. And we're only earning half the revenue, or one quarter of the revenue that we are getting, as opposed to what we are spending. Kaduna is not even producing anything. We don't have anything in Kaduna, but we are paying millions and millions and millions in staff salaries. What are those people doing there? Why are we paying those people salaries? What's the job they are doing? We're not producing, but we're paying salaries.
Refined petroleum from Niger very soon.
Yeah.
Through our
and we're importing. Yes, and we're importing fuel. And as of yesterday, my friends in Abuja are calling me and telling me, oh, fuel scarcity has started again.
Yeah.
So what have we done, really? What have we done, really? What have we done?
It's all over the Dr. Ibe, I'm going to give you this one because I'll look at the time and time is just gone, but I want to give you this one, and it's from paragraph 17 of the presidential speech. He said, we are confronting current economic challenges such as debt burden, growing inflation, living standards, and increasing unemployment. Listen to this, accentuated by our growing youthful population. These problems are globally induced, and we will continue to ensure that their negative effects are addressed in our policies. Globally induced to collect debts, globally induced for that local inflation. Please, Dr. Ibe, what do you see to that?
It's a very it would be funny if it wasn't really funny, yeah, if it wasn't that bad. In terms of debt, it's mostly the burden of debt. Debt isn't bad, but it's when the debt isn't productive, when it's bad debt, you're not producing anything useful from the borrowed money, and then it becomes a burden. When we have most of our revenue spent on recurrent expenditure and servicing debt, there's little room for development. And moreover, one of the things the government should do, which is quite distinct from companies and organizations, is to provide the environment, the infrastructure for people to do business and to keep the cost of business low and increase the openness, transparency, and the business climate. This is the function of the government. Where you have no infrastructure, you don't have light, electricity, water, say security. It's always even the insurance companies have to insure their employees. Remember, there's kidnapping insurance right now. All this leads to high cost of business,
which is a difficult one
undesirable
the
business
is,
climate.
why should the president say all of these deporting the debt, they're globally induced? That's not correct.
It's not globally induced. No, it's absolutely wrong. It's like I said at the beginning, it's because of what the debt was used for. It's not the problem of taking a debt. It's about matter of using the debt judiciously so that and the best thing the government can do, like I've said, is to provide a business climate. There are people who are going to do business. It's not the function of the government.
Thank you, Doctor. Thank you, Doctor. Let me just give Diva Books one statement as we close, and Macmillan just one statement because our time's just up. We will continue on Friday on this issue. Diva Books, one statement for Nigeria. What would you like to say?
I hope.
It's a good statement. I hope. After 52 years,
I hope I'll pray. I hope I'll pray. But
okay.
Having said that, I just want Nigerians to keep the faith, and we hope that our next government will make it better for us.
Amen. Mark, just in one statement.
Yes. Yes. To Nigeria, first of all, we want to say congratulations on their 62nd independence. Like we normally say, though tongues and tribes may differ, though we may be clustered with problems and all kinds of situations, but there's something wonderful about Nigeria, and that is we are a dynamic, resilient people. And we
have tongues and tribes may differ. That is our first national anthem.
Yes, sir.
Dr. Ibe, any one statement? I would like 2 words, like I hope or something like that.
Okay. Get your PVCs and vote. I hope that the 63rd birthday will be something to celebrate. The 62nd, unfortunately, isn't.
Well, that's how far we can go, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for watching until Friday when we come your way. I have to thank my colleagues, Diva Books from Lagos, Dr. Godwin Ibe from Moscow, Russia, and Mark from Milan. We hope to be with you for the first time on a Friday. Do join us again. My name is Sheikh Johnson. God bless Nigeria.
Amen. Amen.